The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is Cowboys Wednesday here at the Star in Frisco. This is Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio. It's brought to you by Miller Lite, Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, and it will be Everson Walls in a matter of minutes.
In a moment.
In a moment. Okay, do you think when he was with the Giants, could he call ahead and say he was running 10 minutes late, and how would Parcells react to that?
Hey, be on time.
Reminds me of the summer that Keyshawn Johnson was with the Cowboys for the first time, and he had gone to Santa Barbara to see his daughter in a Michael Jordan basketball camp.
Okay.
It was a Sunday. Well, he didn't realize that on Sunday the traffic on the Pacific Coast Highway is backed up going back towards L.A., and he was in a traffic jam, and he knew he was going to be late for the team meeting at 6 o'clock. He called Bill, and he goes, "Got no shot of getting there, Coach." He goes, "Whatever the fine is, let me know."
Well,
we don't fine people for this.
we don't. So, but we await the arrival of Everson Walls. He will make a grand entrance here shortly. Cowboys have a later schedule than what we are accustomed to on Wednesdays, and I assume that's because of the Sunday night game. It's given them a little extra time.
Yes, I think Mike made reference to trying to get the guys off their feet as much as they can because of the late arrival. I mean, I didn't put my head down on a pillow, and I didn't play in the game till 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So
that does not count as a full day of rest for the team.
Not really, because I'm sure they had sick call, and then they had a meeting, and Tuesday was the day off, but I think he's just kind of trying to push it
basically,
back.
Instead of a 3:25 kickoff, it was 4 hours later, so you just push the schedule back on Wednesday 4 hours.
There you
basically
go.
Is what it amounts to.
Get them off their feet, let them recuperate.
So the Mike McCarthy press conference coming up later this afternoon. Our availability with the players later this afternoon, and as they get set to face these New York Jets, and it will be interesting to see what the Jets have, as we know they won't have Aaron Rodgers when they come here on Sunday afternoon, but I'd like to get into it a little bit after Everson gets here, just how equipped this Jets team is to win games without Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. But first off, let's just
they already won a game
and they did.
Him,
I mean, there was proof positive right there against a team that some people, meaning me, picked to be in the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, no.
One person, meaning me, picked Josh Allen to be the MVP of the league. Boy, didn't get off to a great start.
Great start, huh? I wanted to tell you this. So because of the way the Jets won the game,
yes,
Xavier Gipson with the punt return, 64 yards in overtime for the touchdown, and finding out he was a local guy.
Yep.
It motivated me last night to go watch the last 3 episodes of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
Wanted to see if he was kind of part of it at any point.
Yes, he was.
Well, he was. Mm-hmm. I was surprised somewhat, but it was a storyline. Undrafted rookie wide receiver. He and the other guy's name was it Brownlee?
Jason Brownlee.
Yes. So they were kind of buds. They kind of hung out together because they were both in the same boat.
Did I tell you what my daughter did as soon as he returned the punt for a touchdown? She texted me, and it was OMG, oh my God, that's Gibson. I loved him on Hard Knocks.
Right. See, so I went and watched it. So we got to the last episode where they were showing the cuts, right? Mm-hmm. So Brownlee gets called in first, and they kind of screwed with them, and then finally told him, okay, you made the team. Well, Here comes Gibson. He goes in. He's with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, the head coach, the GM. And they started going on and on. He goes, hey, man, you did everything. I understand how you got here. You weren't drafted. It was a long shot. You gave us the best effort. He goes, but this is a business, and we got only 53 guys to make it. And you can see the kid dying on the couch, right? And they're just killing him. and he goes, and we only can keep 53 guys, and you're one of them.
You're a New York Jet.
And I thought he was just going to pass out. And
Plus, he said it was the longest 20-minute drive ever. Because he had his meet. They told him, come to the office. Yeah. 20-minute drive away.
It was really good. And you had to love the kid, right? Just the way he acted, just the way he interacted with the team during that whole deal. And I didn't realize that, somebody knew about him prior to the punt return.
And he, he really did a lot in 4 years at Stephen F. Austin. He was in fact, he was recruited as a cornerback. He played cornerback in high school at Woodrow Wilson, and probably played offense as well. I actually called his high school coach, Bobby Estes, who's now at Thomas Jefferson. By the way, the Cowboys did a great thing yesterday. It was a lot of the rookies. Charles Haley was there. Charlotte Jones was there. They dedicated a new football field at Thomas Jefferson High School in Dallas. Their school and the facilities
got ruined by
the tornado, which happened during that Sunday night Cowboys game a few years ago. And so they were out there yesterday, had a field dedication. But I talked to his old high school coach, and they have morning practices, and so he said he went to bed at halftime of the game. But he had two sons who played with Zay Gipson at Woodrow Wilson, and so he got a call from one of them at 10:15 Monday night, waking him up saying, Dad, did you see Zay? And then his other son calls about 10 minutes later, wakes him up again. He had just fallen back asleep. Hey, Dad, did you see Zay? Yeah, I'm aware of it. So anyway, his phone was ringing off the hook.
Pretty good story.
And speaking of undrafted free agents who arrived early in his NFL career, despite being an undrafted free agent, Everson Walls is here.
Y'all
we're talking about
way too much fun without me, bro.
Yeah, we're talking about Xavier Gipson, the pride of Woodrow Wilson High School, with the punt return.
I just played golf with someone that went to his high school. Just
Tim
came
Brown?
from the Charles Haley. No, just a peon. Just a guy. He was on my golf team.
Yeah,
and he went to Woodrow Wilson. We were at the Charles Haley golf tournament at the Cowboys course today.
Good. All right.
Mm-hmm. So, did we ask you this? How you found out you made the team?
The Cowboys?
We were just telling the story on Hard Knocks.
How he found out, because they played him on Hard Knocks.
The GM and the head coach, they called him into the office.
You're an undrafted free agent.
No, we knew when we came. They just said, no one came to the room at all to say I made the team. Once we went to the meeting, then Tom Landry was there and he said, this is what we're going with. And that was it. That's how I knew.
Like, because you were in the meeting, that meant you made it?
Yes, that meant you made it.
Because you didn't get called into another meeting,
we didn't get called out.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you said they didn't come to the room, did they do this in training camp or once you got back here?
I remember it was the Twin 60s
Oh,
hotel.
You were staying in the hotel.
The Twin 60s hotel. They put us all up there. And I remember when we came to the meeting, we knew how many DBs were going to make the team because we were all counting stuff. And we walked into the room, and there was the same amount of DBs as it was before the last preseason game.
Okay.
And so we're like, hey, something's going on. It's too many people, too many DBs. And by the time the meeting was over, there was one less DB, but we didn't know it until the meeting was over. They had come and tapped Aaron Mitchell on his shoulder and told him, you're going to Tampa. And that's how we found out
so he got traded.
This is what we're going
So
with.
they traded to make room for you in Downs.
They traded to make me in Downs. And I remember, as a matter of fact, Tom didn't say anything. It was when we broke off into our own section, our own DB section, that's when Gene Stallings said, this is what we're going with. Tom Landry never said, hey, congratulations. You guys have this confused with normalcy. This was not how we did it back in the day. It was as crude as ever. Always crude. There was nothing delicate about anything. They didn't say anything until we sat in the DB meeting room at that time, and we looked around, and Mitch was gone. Aaron Mitchell was gone, and that's how we knew. Gene Starlin said, okay, guys, this is what we're going with.
They didn't have cameras in the room.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to play to the camera.
No
they
hard
did
knocks
not.
or
That's right.
anything.
Yeah.
No,
Everson, you know what?
Very unceremonial. That's what I can say.
Everson, you
Kinda
did
like the
such a
draft
good
was.
job. You played hard, but we
No.
only have this many spots.
Nope.
And you made it.
Yeah, none of that. None of congratulations. None of that. It was almost as if Gene Starlin was pissed that this is what he was left with. So you had 2 undrafted free agents and me and Michael Downs. You had Ron Fellows, who was a 7th-round draft pick, like 7A. And then you had Dennis Thurman. So come on. Would you be happy with that group, not knowing what the heck was going on? Gene was like, I am freaking cursed here. And the way he came to us was like, okay, this is what we're going with. You guys are going to work hard, and I'm going to make sure you got. Okay, Gene, thank you for congratulating us. It's almost like he was upset.
There was no parade down Richardson.
No, he seemed a little disappointed that this is what he had to work with. Very disappointed.
All right. Before we kick things off with the Jets, the Gil Brandt Memorial Service was yesterday afternoon, and there was a whole lot of former Cowboys that were in attendance.
A lot of gold jackets.
Yeah, they said, wear those gold jackets.
They did.
They did.
They told them to. Well, they listened because by my list, Troy was there, Cliff Harris, Bob Lilly,
Drew Pearson.
Roger was there. Mel was there.
Yep.
And Scott Hawley was standing in for Chuck Hawley.
Yeah.
And I think those were the ones I saw.
That had gold jackets on.
That had gold jackets on. There was like 8 of them, I think. I don't know how many I just said. But, it was a pretty impressive group. And a lot of the other former players showed up, too. Timmy Newsome was there. Preston Pearson.
Of course.
John Fitzgerald. DJ was there. Chad Hennings. And Chad Hennings, that's how Gil was the one that drafted him when he still had to do Air Force service. I think they drafted him late, maybe in the 88 draft, 10th, 12th round, something like that. And then he actually got released early, and I think he made it there in 92, maybe 91, 92. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice. And
Tony Casillas, was he there?
I didn't see him, but I did.
For some reason, he popped in my head when I thought Chad.
I was like, well, Casillas came after Gil. Was there.
I understand.
I had to leave because I had to do TV at 3:00. I never drove so fast on the tollway in my life to get back here with 1 minute to spare, right, to get back. And it was like
they would have forgiven you, man. They really would.
But yeah, it was good. And you know, I think it was the minister at the end talking about how we all, you know, hope that we make an impact on this world while we're here, and talked about the impact that Gil made in so many different ways, not just what the Cowboys, but with the National Football League and some of the charities he worked at. I wish I could have gone to, they had a reception at Dallas Country Club afterwards. I couldn't make it there. John Wooten was there, by the way. John's getting old. He's in his 80s now.
Man.
Yeah. But he's still getting around. God
still got the
bless him.
spirit. He still got the good spirit.
And Drew gave a eulogy, and he was talking about how Gil would go places where no one else would go to find players, and he goes in. You know, a lot of us were overlooked. And he a lot of us, right? He raised his hand and he goes, "Hello, Cliff," just like that. So it was really nice. So it was a nice thing that Jones family was in there in entirety. So was a nice service.
How about the bond that players have after their careers? We were just talking about it. Gary Myers has a book out on the New York Giants. Once a Giant is the title of the book, and he's talking about how the Giants players have, that they have their own fraternity from the Super Bowl teams that they had and so forth. It really is unique. You don't find I can't think of other professions where you get a group that works together and they have the opportunity to get together on down the road in life.
I know I only worked with the Giants for a few years, but yeah, they consider me part of that clan. But I must admit, I think the Cowboys might have the closest alumni group.
Part of it has to do, I think, with people living here after they play.
Which, by the way, I missed.
The price of just the city itself with the price of living.
I missed one of the Gold Jackets. Tony Dorsett was there. And looking good. Yeah, he's had a nice recovery from where he was at one point.
Randy White?
I didn't see Randy, no.
And Randy's trying to do better. He's been doing better by himself. And when you see him, you'll be happy.
And the one person I wanted to say hi to, and I didn't get a chance to, Jerry Motor, worked in the PR department.
Jerry Motor. Wow.
She was there. She's still motoring along.
Wow. Jerry Motor, man, that's a name.
She was an all-timer. Still is, I should say.
All right. Well, we got much to get to on the Jets and the Cowboys. Later schedule for the Cowboys today. We get into all of that when we come back here on Mick Shots.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, and Cowboys and Jets, 3:25 kickoff on Sunday. Game will be on CBS. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will be on the call. And, looking at this Jets team coming off the victory, it was interesting driving in this morning, listening to people talk about the Jets and what are they going to do at quarterback now?
Right.
What in the world are they going to do at quarterback? Who's out there that the Jets can sign?
Tom Brady.
and that one has been nixed, I think, by Tom Brady himself now. And it's crazy talk because even if there was a Hall of Fame quarterback that was out of work right now, willing to come, he's not going to be able to step in right now and do better than the one who's been in camp and with them for the last year.
It's like they don't realize that Tom didn't just when Brady came to Tampa, he didn't just come in like after the season started. He prepped with the team all off season. He learned the system. He was ingrained in it, and all of a sudden now he's ready to play. But it wasn't. You can't just plug someone in. Just
I see where Fitzmagic is doing commercials. He's available.
And so I mean, even the talk of Chad Henne, who retired,
right,
and he was backing up Mahomes in Kansas City most recently. But you look up. And what they do, they link it to, okay, Nathaniel Hackett's the offensive coordinator. And so who does he have a history with? Well, he was in Jacksonville when Henne was a backup in Jacksonville. And last time Chad Henne started a game in the National Football League was
here.
It was 2014.
Oh.
2014. It's been 9 years since he started a game. And, okay, yeah, this guy's going to do better. There are a whole bunch of people in that Jets front office, coaching staff, you name it, who thought enough about Zach Wilson that they made him the second pick in the draft. Yeah, I mean, they've hitched their wagon to Zach Wilson.
So, I saw somebody got a hold of Bill Parcells to ask him about the deal with the Jets. And he goes, hey, they don't cancel the season. Things happen.
I don't care who you are.
No excuses. And
Right.
he goes, and in 3 weeks, he goes, if they lose a game, they're going to be talking about the cornerback that missed the coverage or the wide receiver that dropped the ball. They're going to forget who's playing quarterback, right? It's like injuries, right? You talk about injuries all week, and then the team gets beat, and it's like, well, what the hell happened? Well,
Right.
we're missing 3 starters. Oh,
Nobody
that
wants to hear that.
No.
To your point on Tom Brady, of course, when he went to Tampa Bay, that was the COVID year. COVID hit in March of that year, and there was all the video that Tom Brady got his receivers out on football fields, practice fields in high schools in the Tampa area or wherever, to get him ready, get acclimated to his new receiving core and everything. Probably gave him a huge advantage over other teams in the league. They were doing it more than anyone else was during that year.
Well, if you think about it, they were getting after him. It was like a legal gathering. It's like you weren't supposed to be out in public in a group, right? And they were going to, the NFL wasn't going to fine them, but the city was a little worried about it.
But the point is, you can't just show up and, this guy's going to do better than someone who's already been there for some length of time. So, and you think about it, all the Jets have to do, and for that matter, I think the Cowboys can look at it the same way, is when you build a football team good enough to where you can lose your starting quarterback and still come close to reaching your ultimate goals. The San Francisco 49ers are a great example of that last year. I mean, when they lose Jimmy G, they lost Trey Lance to begin the season, and then Garoppolo goes 2 games in. Garoppolo goes down, and it's the last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, who's able to win football games for them. And then you look before the Cowboys played on Sunday night, the most impressive team that took the field on Sunday
was the 49ers. That's right.
And what Brock Purdy was doing at quarterback, but it was as the old coach Parcells. If you're a bus driver, the game manager. But he looked very impressive.
He didn't look like he was magic.
That's right.
He looked like he was the guy.
But when you've built your team well enough, where you can run the football, you have a very strong defense. That's what the Cowboys have done here as well.
With Cooper Rush. That's right. That's the same thing.
Robert Saleh was in San Francisco. All he has to do is look at that blueprint of what they've done in San Francisco and tell Zach Wilson, that's what you need to be. You just need to be Brock Purdy last year. And
San Francisco did fine until they lost all of them.
Right, exactly.
They didn't have anybody.
And then they had a guy that just showed up.
They lost him too.
And that's what happens when someone just shows up. You can't function at all. But really, I think the Cowboys can learn from that too. Dak can learn from that. That he's got a good enough team around him that you don't have to make that extra throw.
I'm pretty sure that's what they talked about the entire offseason. Yep. That's what the change in the offensive plan was, and you saw it in the game this past Sunday night. He didn't try too much. He saw where the game was headed. He saw that there was a shutout going. His defense was playing well. Don't force anything. Be like Eli. Remember, Eli used to just throw the ball on the ground, and it didn't look pretty at all. But what did look pretty was the fact that he saved you from getting a sack.
Right.
And then the next play, he throws a dime down the field. That's what you want.
And you just put it on the shoulders of everybody else, right? It's like, hey, you got something to do with this. We can't sit here and just, drop our heads and like, oh, woe's me. No, you got to go.
And whether we like to admit it or not, those quarterbacks out there, the Bradys, the Rodgers and all that, they've had help. They've had very good help.
Yeah.
They didn't do it by themselves. When it's all said and done, you want to say this quarterback did this or this quarterback did that. But the truth is, if you look at the entirety of the film, it was done by the entire team.
And not to say this is going to happen all season long, but Kansas City, the first game, right? Everybody, quarterback, we got guys missing. Put it on your back.
It is not
Patrick Mahomes.
One of the greatest examples of a fairly recent Super Bowl winning team that had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he put pedestrian numbers up, not even pedestrian numbers up in some games. It was Peyton Manning with the Broncos.
That's right.
I mean, his stats from that season were horrendous. And
well, then you had Von Miller.
Right.
Aqib Talib.
That's right.
You had a hell of a defensive team on the other side, and why not let them, ride their backs every once in a while?
Didn't you win a Super Bowl without your starting quarterback?
Oh, we won without the starting quarterback and running back. We lost Rodney Hampton early in the season, and that's why OJ.
I forgot about
that's
that
right.
one.
That's why
OJ
Anderson ended up getting the MVP because we had nobody else.
And Phil Simms was on the
Phil
way to
Simms
his
went down with his
broadcasting
Achilles.
career.
Right. He had the Achilles, went down against Buffalo in New Jersey. And after that, we struggled 3-3. But we knew where we were going. We knew that that was a good deal.
Seems like there's another team.
Yeah, how about that happened too?
2016, there was a quarterback that went down and started his broadcasting career, and Dak Prescott did what he did that year.
Actually, Parcells pointed out that on the same day in '99, Vinny Testaverde tore his Achilles the same day, 9/11, in Giant Stadium. And he went to, I forgot the next quarterback he went to, and then he went to Lucas. Was that? Not Robert Luke. I forgot his first name. Anyway, they finished 8-8. Mm-hmm. Almost made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So his point was, no one wants to hear this.
No one's feeling sorry for you.
Right.
They have no time. So whatever the locker room is feeling, and they should, if I'm the Jets, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm thinking I can win with Zach Wilson. My defense is ready to go. Let's go defense on defense. That's what they're looking at.
Right.
And they're going to look at the running game. They're going to see what they did well against a very good Buffalo squad. So yeah, this is going to be a tough game. Mm-hmm. This is not going to be one of those 40 burger. The 40 burger ain't coming.
They needed another episode of Hard Knocks, because here's the Hard Knocks right now.
Right,
this
the story
is
gets interesting right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, they proved it against one of the best teams in the league on Monday night, and there's no reason why they can't come in here and put up a same time. Here's the deal: they have put a what they believe is a Super Bowl contending team together around Aaron Rodgers. That's what Zach Wilson has around him this year that he didn't have last year. Is they have actually built this team to win now. That they're farther along in their development by signing Dalvin Cook, and they got Breece Hall back. They got a run game that they can rely on.
They ran for 172 yards.
Yes,
172. Now I know 83 was one run,
yeah. But even if you take that out, you're looking at a very solid running game.
When he took off from where he did, and you saw him running, did you think of Dorsett going 99? Because I did. I said, oh my God, this is the second coming.
All right, I've got a question I want to throw out for you two.
You're going to give us time to think about it?
Time to think about it. I was asked the question today, and that is, who is the second best player on this Dallas defense?
Oh.
Second best player on this Dallas defense. That answer when we come back here on Mick Shots.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Dallas Cowboys football? Tell us how you spice up the game for a chance to be named the 2023 Cowboys Fan of the Year presented by Captain Morgan and win exclusive prizes plus a trip to the Super Bowl 58. Nominate yourself or another today at dallascowboys.com/fan of the year.
All right, you mentioned earlier about the Testaverde Achilles injury in the season opener in 1999, and so I pulled up a story on that season for the Jets, and Parcells initially went with Rick Meyer.
That's right.
To replace Testaverde.
I couldn't remember.
And then it was Ray Lucas. Okay, and in December of that year, the Jets came in here to Texas Stadium, and Ray Lucas led a fourth quarter comeback to beat the Cowboys 22-21.
As they were on their way to an 8-8 finish.
That's right. All right. And with the win, Lucas had a 4-3 record as the Jets starting quarterback, third highest passer rating in the AFC. And this was what was funny. Parcells in the postgame press conference says, "You guys had him out of here after the Green Bay game talking about Lucas. Now you're giving him the job." And Parcells said, the reason he went with Meyer instead of Lucas after Testaverde went down, I had a guy with 50 starts. I didn't know about Lucas back then. Now he knows about it. So
that was
anyway. Yeah. All right. Dallas defense. Who is the second best player on this Cowboys defense?
Such an easy call.
There's so
it's
many.
easy for a cornerback.
Yeah, I guess.
Like Everson. The salaries say it too.
Yes.
After the recent contract.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's taking so long.
Well, go ahead.
It's Diggs. Come on, it's Diggs. Of course, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, who is definitely worthy. You can say what you want, make him, especially when you talk about last year, one of the most important players on the Cowboys defense. Mm-hmm. But with Micah Parsons and his superlatives, you want to put him up there. And Diggs has his own superlatives that you can deal with. And we're talking numbers. 11 interceptions last year, second year in the league.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Then he's got, the big plays that he made against the Jets. Yeah, even starting off
already
strong.
Against the Giants the other night.
Starting off strong this year.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be interceptions.
It does not. I mean, he seems to be all over the field, and the way he made the plays, he salvaged them. You know, when the ball was caught by the guy on the quick slant, I mean, he followed him the whole way, tracked him down.
I mean, it was a 24-yard reception,
and
if I remember.
He stayed on
he
top
stayed
of it
with him.
and stayed with it.
Knocked it out.
It wasn't by accident that ball came out. That was clearly by design.
Cowboys announced at the beginning of training camp who the second best player on this defense was.
With a
salary.
5-year, how much was it? 90? 84?
I have it written down as a 5-year, $97 million extension.
I try not to even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to even think about it.
But
came along.
Think about some other players that. Think about Stephon Gilmore. We've just seen him in one game.
Man, he played very well. He played first of all, great interception. We didn't talk about that yesterday. Trying to stop it from hitting the ground.
They tried so hard to show it hit the ground, right?
Well, there was a veteran move by him. He knew that camera was right there, so he turned his back to keep the camera angle from being able to overturn the call on the field.
But now that, and not just that, he had a breakup, that was
and his just the presence that he brings, the veteran,
yes,
leadership, and it's just a
he's so calm.
Yeah, it's a calming presence for the entire team.
He seems to have a presence over Diggs. It seems like they have a rapport to where, like, okay, I'm following your lead. I like that.
There's a quiet confidence that everybody on the team can have, knowing that, okay, we got this guy on our side now too. I mean, there's some guys, they get off the bus and they're intimidating because of their size or whatever, or of Micah and the way he plays. But there's others.
Him, there's poise and presence. There's poise in his presence.
Yeah,
I like that.
And if there was another candidate, I would have gone with DeMarcus Lawrence. I think he's sort of, what he does up front, so many different things.
Unheralded. It's unheralded.
Yeah. And then they may have one on the come.
That's right. And I think I'm thinking of the same person you're thinking of. Let's give it half a season, another full season.
Talk to me.
Osa
Odigizua.
Oh, see?
That's what I said to the guy who asked me. I said, there's an under-the-radar guy who is now getting a little over the radar because he had 2 sacks in a Sunday night game. But and he's been like that ever since he came to the league.
How was his camp? I mean,
I was going to say he was the best defensive tackle they had during training camp. You saw it.
You could see it last year.
Presence.
I was hoping that he continued.
And so when they were
see
talking
it his rookie
about
year too.
Well, who's the 3 technique? Well, it's Osa. You can figure out who's playing next to him, right? Because it was like all this attention on Mozzie, and he was the 27th pick in the draft. That's getting close to the second round, by the way. But that 3 technique guy can make a difference. And boy, he sure did. And those guys, a lot of times, when they go to their change-up defense, he's not on the field. They're using linebackers to line up as the defensive tackle. I had his snap count here.
He had Odigizua?
Yeah. He had 20. He only had 27 snaps.
Okay.
39%.
And got 2 sacks.
That's
good.
So that's pretty good production per play, right? And he also had 4 tackles. He had 2 tackles for losses, 3 quarterback hits. That's pretty good play production there. And maybe that says something for being fresh, too.
He was a 3rd-round draft pick, 75th overall. And he really showed it even in his rookie season.
Right.
And he had 4 sacks last year. The thing that's so impressive about him, he is get off. He's just the way he plays, but he's got those long arms. Yeah, he's only 6'1.5", but he's got 34-inch arms with an 84-inch wingspan. And he uses it to his benefit. and he's strong. Even with those long arms, he had 25 bench reps of 250 pounds at the combine, which shows how strong he is.
Well, and it's something to be said for that low center of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
He has that as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to knock a guy like that over. You know, he's not tall and lean. I mean, he's already almost like a fire plug. You know what I mean? He's fire hydrant. He's ready to go, and you're not going to knock him over. He's going to be stable no matter where you hit him.
You know, as much talk as there is in the NFC East about the defensive tackles in this division and what the Eagles have, even without Javon Hargrave, who's now with the 49ers, but Fletcher Cox for over a decade now, and the guys they've gotten out of Georgia, including Jalen Carter, who impressed in his first game, and then the Alabama guys that Washington has on their front, and then the Clemson guy, Dexter Lawrence, that, here's a UCLA guy in Osa who is holding his own when you compare him to the other top-notch Pro Bowl type defensive tackles in this division.
And I see a few more games, but to me, Damone Clark is going to be a baller. He only got to start 5 games last year, and the majority of the games he played were special teams. But once he got back, in training camp, so in this game, very silently, he had 5 tackles. And I think he can be a force in the middle. Somebody was talking about the Cowboys' problems at linebacker, and I'm going, hey, don't go to sleep on Leighton Vander Esch, oh, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And where would have Damone Clark been drafted if he didn't have the neck issue?
He's no lower than a second round. He might have been a first-round pick out of LSU.
And he fell to the 5th round because of the medical.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy can play, and he's big, he's strong, and he's fast. I don't know what else you need in a linebacker. And he seems to be really, really sharp. So watch out for him. But again, the way they play it, those guys don't – what did he get? He had 46 snaps, so that was 66%. And some of that's skewed because those guys came off the field late in the
when you have a
quarter.
defense playing this well, everybody can't be on the tackle.
Right?
That's right.
You can't give a half a tackle to everybody.
Right. Like Osa, he had 4 sacks last year. Well, if Micah gets there before him, I mean, you can't get.
And in this game, everybody was just salivating to get to the quarterback.
What's interesting about the question that I asked is because I was asked it this morning by a guy who lives in Philadelphia. And I think, and he picked the Eagles to win the division. I picked the Cowboys to win the division. And I asked him, but before I answered the question, I asked him, so who do you think is the second best player on this Dallas defense? And he first mentioned, so this is sort of a national perspective. Mm-hmm. He first mentioned Vander Esch, and then he mentioned Dorrance Armstrong. We didn't even mention those guys, but from a national perspective, they're watching that game. And they are seeing guys, because we know who all the players are nationally, and this is a guy who follows the NFL, but he doesn't see a certain number and say, oh, well, that's Vander Esch, or that, he's watching his team, Philadelphia, okay? He's just seeing all these guys flying around making tackles, and he's going, wow. They got a bunch of guys on that defense. Who's the second best guy?
And all they know is they keep seeing 55 in the picture.
And they're seeing 14. Right? Where'd this 14 come from? So, Marquise Bell.
See, and that's why when people ask me about what the defense did and how shocking it was, I said it wasn't shocking to us that watched practice for a month.
Yeah.
We saw this. Nobody else saw it. Evidently, the Giants didn't see it either, right?
They saw it.
They got to see it, right?
Yeah.
But we saw this brewing in Oxnard, that they ruined so many practices because of the pressure they can put. I think McCarthy said they ended up counting 75% of the defensive snaps were pressures on the quarterback.
You know what I told the guy in Philly? I said, there were games last year that the guy who did not even play in that game on Sunday night might have been the second best defensive player on the field, and that was Donovan Wilson. Wow. I mean, there were some games
Your
last
leading
year.
tackler.
Yeah.
Wow.
Had 5 sacks last year.
Which was a club tying record for a safety.
And we haven't even mentioned
Bill Bates.
Bill Bates?
Bill Bates had 5 one year.
And we haven't even mentioned the other 2 safeties. By the way, one of them was a first-round draft pick, and the other one was a free agent steal.
Right.
Lee Cooker and J-Ron Kearse.
Well, they can't even make it to that level. The Giants couldn't make it to that level.
For them.
So it's like when I was playing with the Giants one game, and we're playing against Barry Sanders. He had toasted them for over 100-plus yards the year before, and we were looking at the video, and man, the guys were in there salivating. LT's going crazy. We get into the game. I'm back there playing safety. I got nothing to do. I mean, that's just how strong they were playing up front.
They stopped him up front.
They stopped him up front the entire time. Belichick calls me into the office and goes, "Hey, you got to do more." Do more what? you got a squad here. I've never seen anything like this, much less played behind it. And that's what our safeties are looking at. The front 7 is handling everything. So we just make sure no one escapes through that.
Oh, by the way, the Cowboys also have a backup edge rusher who was the 3rd pick in the draft once upon a time in Dante Fowler.
That's right.
And who's playing very well.
And he's playing his role, right? He goes, I'm kind of a designated pass rusher. I go in and give DeMarcus Lawrence a break.
And he does it well.
Yeah, because I saw people, when they were given injury reports about all the starters the Cowboys had out. And it's like, okay, we know it's no shock that Donovan Wilson wasn't going to play in the game. He's probably not even playing this week. I would imagine he's got to go through a ramp up, right? And then they were counting Jordan Lewis as a starter. And it's like, no, he's not a starter. When he gets back, it's going to be an interesting dilemma they have is he active?
Yeah.
Because Deron Bland's the guy now, don't you think?
I agree with that. I mean, after last year.
And the first game?
Yeah, come on.
And so somebody's going to, if he's active, somebody's got to sit. And I don't know, after you have a performance like that, who are you going to tell that was on that defense? I don't think you're going to make the 48.
What I liked about Deron Bland as much as anything? Yeah, he had the pick 6. Okay, right place, right time, made the play, whatever. I liked the way he was playing at the end of the game. He was coming up and making tackles, playing physical.
Not bad for a 5th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just look at last year, and looking at last year, I just think that he proved himself beyond a shadow of a doubt.
So we should get maybe an update on Tyler Smith to see exactly where he is in this game, if he's ready or if they got to give him another week. But you know what? And we said it. I'll say it again. I might have been wrong on Udoka because he was more than serviceable in that game. I thought he played decently.
If Nate,
from what I saw,
is pleasantly surprised,
right? Yeah.
I'm happy.
Right.
That's all I got to hear.
And speaking of Nate, as we close out this edition of Mick Shots, we got a text from Nate in Frisco. He says, "Great show, fellas. Just joking." And that's it for Mick Shots on a Cowboys Wednesday. And we will see you again and try to do better for Nate in Frisco on Thursday at noon.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?